You're listening to the Savoir Faire Audio Experience.
Are you ready?
The Savoir Faire Experience is your guide to everything that has to do with lifestyle. From dating, rides, style, and entertainment. All brought to you by the editor of Savoir Faire magazine, Robert White. Anything goes on this audio experience. So, let's go.
It's still the best.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Savoir Faire Audio Experience. Thank you guys for listening, following, sharing, all the love. Definitely appreciate it. Today is another great interview, this time with the founder and CEO of Fuel Ox. I'm super excited about this interview. Rand Taylor, how you doing, Rand?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I really appreciate you finding some time to chat with me. I'm excited about this because this is I just came off of a NASCAR weekend, and I'm sure they could use your products. So I know we're talking a little bit about enhancements and things like that. So I want to kind of dive in to learn more about Fuel Ox. But I always like to kind of start learning about the CEO and the founders of these companies right from the get-go. So can you tell me a little bit of your background and your backstory before Fuel Ox and what you were up to?
Well, yeah, I was. I'm basically a entrepreneur by nature. Although I did work for large corporations throughout my life, but I always had the type of job that it was eat what you kill. So I was never I was never really a salary guy. I was always on some sort of performance basis. Most of my life was my private life, or I should say public life. Working was with. On Wall Street, working for a wholesale market making firm that I ran a large trading desk. And if you didn't make money, you didn't make money.
Yep.
So I did that for about 20 years, and then I have had a couple different businesses since then. But Fuel Ox is one that I particularly was excited about when we started it, because it was actually a business that my son and I, Alex, started together. And that alone makes it super special for me, that I can work with my son and bring something that's really unique to the marketplace.
Yeah, that's really cool. I definitely want to dive in and learn a little bit more about the business, and I think I have some questions for you on that. But I love the entrepreneurial aspect. Obviously, I'm an entrepreneur myself with the magazine and a handful of other products and things that I do. But what kind of led this Fuel Ox company to getting off the ground? Was there a conversation between you and Alex, just kind of talking about what this industry was about, where the money was, or was there some other kind of need that you found?
Robert, I think one of the most important things about being successful in life is having an open mind and and recognizing opportunities when they're presented to us. And I think that's very, very difficult because it's not taught to us to do that. Okay. Mm-hmm. We're not taught to have an open mind, unfortunately. But for us, that's always been the way I operated. And Fuel Ox is really a perfect example of that, because we weren't looking for it. We weren't looking for a company to start together. We weren't looking for anything to do in particular, but Fuel Ox came to us. And it came to us through a very good friend of mine from my Wall Street days, who called me up and said, "Hey, my business partner's wife's uncle, believe it or not,
okay.
Who was a scientist at Bell Labs, the owner of the largest number of patents in the world, right, had developed a fuel additive for AT&T and the U.S. military in particular that was fantastic. He got 20% better fuel efficiency and all these things. And I want to start selling it to the general public. Can you help me?" Because he knew how I sit and how I think. Mm-hmm. And I told him, and my answer to him was simply no. I'm not interested in building something for someone else. I have done that in the past. My last trading desk job, I was the employee number one, and I watched the four owners walk away with about $150 million each after 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
So I learned a very important lesson at that point, which is if you're gonna help somebody build something, you should have a piece of it.
Agreed.
So I wasn't gonna, but I said, I'll tell you what I'm interested in. Send me some product. I have friends that own trucking companies, large farming community operations. I'll give them the product and let's see what they think. The short story is they all came back. They loved the product. And I turned to Alec, my oldest son, who was working in a cubicle in Jersey City for an insurance company. I said, hey, you want to start a company? And he said, let's do it. So that's how we started Fuelox. You know, it just was put in our lap. We didn't know much about it. We learned a lot in the very beginning. We ended up purchasing the formula. We ended up tweaking the formula a little bit to make it more effective. And then we grew Fuelox from literally our kitchen table, you know, to where we are today, where we're actually, you know, we distribute worldwide.
Yeah, I saw that in the brief, which is amazing. And I was going to ask you that question. So you did end up purchasing the formula from this other person, and then obviously you said you did some enhancements to make it your own. What kind of things? Talk to me a little bit about this industry a little bit. So the additive itself, or the things that you guys are putting in, this is going into the engine, into the oil, into the gasoline. Where does this go? This
goes into the fuel.
Okay.
And it's designed to go into both diesel fuel and gasoline. Okay. So it works in both gasoline and diesel.
So what does this actually do? Does it make it burn hotter, more efficient? Like give me some of the simple version of how it works.
Well, here, when you go, I'll give you an example. When you walk into your local auto parts store, right? Whatever the case may be, and you see, there's usually a whole column or aisle full of fuel additives. STP, Power Service, all the big names that everyone all knows. Mm-hmm. And you'll see them all there. And they all pretty much do very similar things. Okay. And are what I generally consider variations on a theme. Okay. And because of that, it's all about marketing for those guys. So what we do is we do something entirely different. While we'll cover all those basic bases they do, what separates us from everybody else is a combustion catalyst. And really what it is they're microscopic metals that will get the fuel to combust at an earlier temperature, about 30% earlier. So what that ends up doing is creating a more thorough burn of the fuel. So when you look, for instance, if you have a diesel, whether it's a diesel boat or it's a truck or whatever, and you might see, you know, black smoke coming out of a tractor or whatever the case may be, you see that black smoke coming out. We've all seen that before. Mm-hmm. All that is unburnt fuel. Okay, that's just unburnt fuel, and it's being wasted, and it's polluting the environment, right? So what we do is we create a situation that eliminates between 70 and 80% of that unburnt fuel, and no one else does. No one else does that. Commercially speaking, there's a handful of niche products out there that claim to do that, but I can tell you this is what we do, and this is where our real value added is.
Yeah, that's
so by unique. Doing that. Yeah, so you get better fuel efficiency because obviously you're burning more of the fuel. Mm-hmm. But you're also all that. What people don't understand, particularly with diesel fuel, all the new trucks that are out there in the last 10 years, they all have what they call diesel particulate filters on them that catch all that, and then it creates a whole issue of maintenance problems because of it. So if you can eliminate that, you can also eliminate the maintenance costs on your big fleets. It works the same for the big boats too. You know, if you have big boats, we do a lot in the marine industry. Mm-hmm. So, you know, these guys, they see anywhere from if you have a boat that runs diesel fuel and, you know, you'll get soot on your transom. You know, you'll see it there. It's unsightly. You know, you work in big commercial boats, you know, same thing. They don't have all these filters now. So you'll actually see the black smoke, and we'll cut all that down. So that's what separates us from everybody else. You know, we're truly, if you want to look at it in a way of, you know, you want to rank all these additives and so forth that go into your fuel. Hey, listen, since we're talking about today, we're the Savoir Faire of the fuel additive industry because, you know, we really are. So it's like there's nobody else out there that ticks as many boxes and brings as much value as we do.
No, that's super cool. I mean, I was trying to understand a little bit of how that all works, and now that you've broken it down pretty simply for us, I think that's really cool. It definitely gives me a little insight to how this stuff actually works and some of the benefits of having kind of a, an additive into your gasoline, especially your diesel fuel. It sounds like. I mean, the uniqueness of being able to kind of save pollution, like decrease pollution, but also increase efficiency in an engine. That's really unique. I mean, that's a really great formula. I mean, I think it's something that most people should be trying to do, even in a gasoline vehicle. So this still works the same way in a gasoline vehicle. If I just got my SUVs out front, what kind of benefits could I see from a product like yours?
Yeah, so here's what, there's a couple things that make us unique in the gasoline side too. It will clean your injection. It'll clean everything out. It'll clean your injectors out, lubricate your upper cylinder heads, and add to more, better component life. But it also, because it's combusting more thoroughly, you're going to get probably, somewhere between 5 and 10% better fuel efficiency on average. And the other thing too is that I have a lot of customers who drive the types of vehicles that require a higher octane gasoline. Mm-hmm. And what we do is because we improve the combustion so much, we actually will increase your octane level about 2 points. So if you remember, if you can, look and say, listen, I'm paying 30 cents, 50 cents more a gallon for fuel because my engine requires a higher octane, gasoline. If you use ours and use the regular 87, I have tons of customers that literally buy our products specifically for that reason, because they can buy 87, put our stuff in. It costs them to buy our stuff costs them 4 or 5 cents, in the bottle to buy it and put it in themselves, rather than paying an extra 30 or 50 cents a gallon. That's a huge savings right there.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you guys are not just in the automotive industry with your products, but you're also in the marina industry. You're working in some other categories as well.
Well, the thing is, it works in in any middle distillate fuel, which is middle distillate fuels are gasolines, diesel fuels, heavy fuel oil, which you don't see much of around here. That's used primarily for industrial purposes overseas. But yeah, it'll work in any of those types of fuel. So if you're using a fair amount of fuel, it's going to benefit you.
Very interesting. Yeah, I mean, I like this for a lot of different things, I guess. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, I'm already a customer. I think I'm going to be on the website ordering today for my own personal vehicle just to see what kind of enhancements I get, because my gas mileage on my SUV is horrible. So if I could save 5-10% in that'd be excellent. I'd take that little bit of savings for sure. So I'm curious about this industry in general. I mean, do you know some of the history about why additives were kind of brought in and why these things aren't naturally in gasoline?
Yeah, well, the whole refinery business has just transformed dramatically in the last 30 or 40 years. I mean, they're actually getting, I don't know the exact number, but I think it's something that they're getting 10 or 15% more fuel out of a barrel of crude oil than they did 20 years ago. So how are they doing that? They're doing that because the technology for refining has changed so much. Well, when they do that, certain things are taken out of the fuel that have to be added back in, so there's always additives. There's more additives being put in at the refinery level than there ever have been. So when people talk about additives not being needed, or, I don't use additives or things like that, well, you're actually using them because they're in everything, Okay. So the whole industry's changed dramatically, and a lot of the outlook on additives has changed dramatically too. In fact, we don't even look at our product really as much as an additive, as much as an enhancer. This is really a fuel enhancement product, as opposed to the additives of the years gone by.
Yeah, that's really unique. I want to fall back into your entrepreneur stuff that you mentioned earlier too, and just how Fuel Ox found you. So after you guys buy the product, or the formula to be able to create this and then kind of added your own enhancements, was this an industry that you were familiar with? Were you kind of like a car junkie when you were in your youth? What was the reason to say, I feel like most entrepreneurs love what they do, and you sound very passionate about this and what you guys have created. So I'm just curious, was this a pivot for you to go from finance into kind of an automotive product? What gets you excited about all this stuff?
You know what? There was absolutely no connection with anything I did previously and with Fuel Ox. What got me excited about it were two major things. Number one, it can have a tremendous impact on the environment and the people that use it. It brings great value. Okay, that's when I see something that brings way more value than anything else in its class, that gets me excited. And I thought that's what Fuel, and I still believe that's what Fuelox is. Okay, yeah, and the other thing is to be working with my two boys. You know, that my two sons, Alec and I started the company together, as I told you, and then about 3 or 4 years later, Grant, my second son, you know, left a big military production company, defense contractor, and joined us. And you know, I think it's a lot of fun, and it's very rewarding to be working with the two of them.
Yeah, how does that work in the family dynamic? Do you guys talk about business over Thanksgiving dinner, or is there strict rules about that?
There are zero rules about that.
Okay.
We talk about business all the time. So we are all very focused.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. And so the wives in the situation are comfortable too. They're just kind of like, we're sick of hearing about Fuelox, or they just support everybody?
Well, Alex's wife is actually heads up all our online stuff.
Oh, okay, cool.
So she oversees the website. She oversees the YouTube site and all of a lot of our marketing.
Okay, yeah, very cool.
So she's part of the whole crew. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I love the branding. I mean, there's a lot probably that we could talk about with this company and what you guys have done, and obviously the success of it. But I mean, you guys are now all over the world, definitely doing really great. Talk to me about the distribution process for something like this. Like how does Fuelox get from, you know, wherever you guys are located, this, like from basically you said the kitchen table to being this international brand now and being spread all over the world? Like, what is that process like? And is this something new you had to learn through, like distribution and getting the product out? We
are still learning through it every day.
Okay.
Because as any entrepreneur might know, but other people should know too, is that the climate changes every single day. You know, the more business you bring in and the more different business you bring in, you have to adapt. You know, and we offsource a lot of our work as much as we can, because this is the world we live in. You know, the world of AI and so forth. You know, you have to take advantage of technology. And in the past, you might have had to have a crew of 100 people to do what we do with 15. You know, So and we have, a lot of our sales is also you know, separate. I mean, they're all independent contractors. A lot of my big sales guys around the world, they're all independent contractors that work with us, and they have agreements, supply agreements with us, and so forth. But I don't need to bring them on as employees. You know, so we do a lot of that. We are looking to create our own blending facility. So we're looking right now to start blending our own products directly for ourselves, so we can vertically integrate the business. But right now it's all done third party. We have a large blending company that actually does a great job for us right now, you know, but that's probably one of the next steps to our growth. But as far as distribution goes, I mean, it's, you know, everything that we ship out, it's all done, you know, it's all taken care of. It's all done electronically. It's all that we have representatives in each spot, you know, that we work with. And it's, so far it's worked out very well for us. And I expect that will continue to grow in that regard. But there are things we can do, as I said, as a company, to be more vertically integrated and continue to, you know, grow in that regard as well.
Yeah, very cool. I mean, you mentioned a little bit of AI, and I'm not going to go down the tech category with this situation, but like, I'm very curious to see what kind of things do you think are going to change in the future in this specific industry? Are you seeing some kind of trend that's kind of coming down the pipeline that you think is going to hit heavy in like the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, you know what's really interesting is all the alternative fueling that's in the process of coming to market. You know, and it's real. It's there. It's real. You know, they can make fuel out of all kinds of stuff, everything from cellulose to rendered animal fat, you know, to soybeans and things like that. So, and they're doing that, and they're bringing these products to market, and a lot of them are really good products, you know. So, you know, we're seeing that transformation take place in our industry. With that, a lot of that is starting to supplant diesel fuel. But having said that, the demand is so high, and petroleum products still carry more BTU energy than any other product that's been created to date. So it's one of those things that, the death of petroleum products has probably been greatly exaggerated, and we're continuing to move in that area of bringing cleaner things. And we're also putting a lot of technology into removing the pollutants and so forth that come from petroleum products. So you're going to continue to see that happen. So it's all moving in the right direction. But I think some of the ways people were thinking about it in the past, that it was going to happen overnight, just isn't true. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to happen, I think, a lot slower than people think. But it's interesting to watch, and no one really knows. Let's face it, no one really knows it's going to happen.
Right.
And that's kind of half the fun, right?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I always felt like the gas and oil industries are so large that anything that kind of comes down the pipeline gets a little pushback just because of the way the world works, and these industries are so massive. So like, if we found out that we could get a lot of efficiency out of, like you said, soybeans, or, sucking something out of a potato, or God knows what will come in the future, like that, there's just going to be a little pushback because of the industry being so large, which makes some sense, I guess, because people aren't going to want change too much. But that's really unique that you think that some of those things are going to kind of coming to the forefront. And do you think the additives that you guys are creating, are you going to pivot to some of those things if they get more popular?
Oh, for sure. We're already pivoting towards because each one of these other types of fuel has their own challenges. Yeah. So there's always things you can do to improve them as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, this has been really kind of educational, Rod. I really appreciate your information and talking about the company. So I want to give some shout outs so people know where to go. So fuelox.com is the website if you guys want to go there and check out everything. I've been bouncing around a little bit on the website while I've been talking to Rand. So make sure you guys go there. Just hit the buy now button. You can see all the products if it's not near you. But I did find at the very bottom of the website, there's a little tab that says where to buy. And if you go there and put in your address, it'll tell you if there's a store near you where you can buy it. If you're listening, who knows where, all over America or in other countries. If you're one of those people that gets all your news from Instagram, their Instagram is Fuel Ox. Nice and simple. Just go look up Fuel Ox. The ox is in all their logos, so you can find it. But this has been really interesting to learn about, and I'm sure my audience would appreciate some of this stuff. We got some real good gearheads that are listening to me. I hear from those guys in the automotive industry quite often. So this sounds like a great product for not just those guys, but obviously the general public, something that you just would give you some benefits to your vehicle. And it's like giving yourself vitamins to stay healthy. You got to give yourself your fuel a little bit extra to keep your vehicle kind of maintained a little bit. And I like that.
Well, that's great. It's been a pleasure being on with you, Robert. And I appreciate everything you're doing and look forward to hopefully talking to you again sometime.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks for your time, Rand. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the show. Please take a minute to head over to www.savfair.com and subscribe to our publication.